Cool. So let's just let's just get into it. So, guys, this is the first ever Zoom Flannel Fest interview. Uh, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody for people who don't know you?
Hi, I am Chad Skiz. I am an independent artist with Natalie Sparrow, singer, songwriter, producer, actor, model, all around creative, and I got my coffee ready, so I'm ready.
Cool. So, and this is Chad is actually, for people who don't know, I think he's only the second person who's ever done a round two for an interview for my show. So that's pretty cool. That's the first time. That's like the first time in a while we've had a round two. So I'm excited. So let's kind of get into, I guess, for people who don't know you, I've known you for a little while now, and I kind of know your sound, but for people who don't know your sound, why don't you kind of talk about that?
My sound it's very, honestly, it's like really eclectic. It's kind of impulsive, whatever song I'm trying to make, I just go by what the feeling of it is. And if it's using kind of like an easy example, like if it's a slower, like if it's a love song, it has like more of a softer sound most of the time, unless I want to try and do some contrast and kind of mess with it a little bit. But yeah, I usually say it's like pop based with other influences.
Cool. So if you had to put like a genre on it, you just kind of put it in like more of a pop in general kind of realm.
Yeah,
Do you have
yeah.
any artists that are really like central to your sound that you really draw from, either at the moment or just a constant?
I would say probably like Pink, Florence and the Machine,
Okay.
Adam Lambert, um, yeah, stuff like that.
Okay. So I guess what have you been, for people who've been keeping up with your stuff? What have you been up to in with the whole pandemic quarantine deal, like music wise and otherwise? I know some people have been having trouble staying creative, but they've been doing like other things in the meantime. I guess
Mm-hmm.
what have you been doing to keep yourself busy, whether that's musically or outside of music?
Well, whenever I'm not doing my music and artsy stuff, I actually work in healthcare.
Oh, nice.
So I haven't stopped working. It's been like, I'm kind of apprehensive to say this, but like it hasn't been a bad deal for me at all.
Mm-hmm.
Even as far as music goes, because the world kind of stopped, but like us creative types, I
Yeah.
was at a place in my life to where I could like really hunker down with the producer I work with, and we just like knocked out song after song after song after song. So now I'm to the point, the world is kind of starting to open up a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm starting to kind of get the music out and promote it, and I should be busy until at least December.
Has it been, I mean, with working in healthcare during this time, has it been hectic at all in that regard? Like, have you had to get a lot of testing and things like that done to keep working, or has it impacted you like stress wise at all? Anything like that? I know it's pretty scary for a lot of people working in healthcare right now. I have like two other friends who work in healthcare, and they're pretty scared and super cautious whenever they go into work every day. So
Yeah, I personally haven't really felt any like fear or anything like that. I just show up, do my job, sort of thing.
yeah,
And I mean, you got to do what you got to do. And since we're in healthcare, we have to keep going.
yeah.
We get tested once a week,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's been all right.
Mm-hmm. songwriting wise, has the pandemic impacted you creatively in that way? Like, have there been days? I know a lot of people are like, I've listened to a lot of people talk about the pandemic and how they're doing creatively, and some of them are like, well, I haven't been motivated to do, whether if it's acting, like I haven't been motivated to submit auditions lately, or I haven't been motivated to write music because I've been in such a funk since the quarantine. Have you noticed like anything with songwriting where you're like, I don't feel like writing today, or anything like that?
Um, I haven't really been writing lately, but that's mainly because I've been focusing on um, kind of taking care of the songs that I have.
Right.
So thankfully, I don't know.
Yeah.
um, but I mean, as far as like creative stifling and all that, I don't feel that I have been, because I still come up with ideas for whether it be music videos or stuff like that.
Hmm.
I feel like probably the worst part with the pandemic and creative um, worlds clashing, uh, a lot of people are apprehensive to do things. I mean, rightfully
Yep.
so. But yeah, hopefully, since the world's kind of starting to open up and abide by the guidelines and stuff like that, we can
Hmm.
start living our lives again.
Yeah. Did you experience any difficulty with recording your album? Did you travel to you said the cities to record your recent album? Was that,
Yep.
did you
Um,
have any difficulty as far as social distancing and all that stuff with album recording? Because I know a lot of studios, some of them have shut down, some of them are implementing social distancing guidelines. Did you have like a pretty safe and easy time with recording with
um,
that?
actually, yeah. My producer's wife actually works in healthcare, so we're kind of in the same boat of like we
Okay.
know how to take care of each other, and like it was a pretty safe environment.
Yeah.
So thankfully, yeah, it hasn't been too crazy.
Hmm. Have you, since the world is opening up a little bit, have you started looking into doing some more gigs of that nature? Or I know you said you played like your last time we talked, you had played your album release show not too long before that, for
Mhm.
Daybreak. Have you looked into doing? Have like people been either reaching out to you, or have you reached out to other places regarding like playing some more places? I know some of my friends are doing like smaller like coffee shop gigs now, and think people are
Mhm.
starting to play places. Is that something you're looking into?
I'm starting to, yeah.
Hmm.
I actually went out last night, and it was open mic night, and just to kind of see what the environment was,
Yeah.
as far as artists doing what they do and how they kind of take care of themselves and others and how that whole thing works.
Hmm.
And I think that, yeah, I think that hopefully pretty soon, as soon as I get like a guitar player or something um, back on my team, we could start doing gigs and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I guess as far as what that gigging goes, are you looking to kind of like start out in the Fargo area, or do you have some contact at some places in Minneapolis that you want to tackle? Like where are you thinking about like being your first like kind of big gigging spot, if you know, at the moment?
I feel like I will just purely because it's easier, probably start in the Fargo area.
Yep.
I'm kind of looking at a couple other places elsewhere, but
Okay.
just to kind of get started, especially with everything going on, I think Fargo is like the best bet for now.
Have you noticed any as far as like recording your most recent album, is it because you've worked with like video arts before in town here too, and like
Mhm.
uh have you noticed any differences on the process with your albums, like with recording in either studio? Like, was it? I mean, I'm not saying like one of them was better than the other, but just like any differences in the recording process for how it kind of flowed with either location? Or?
Well, with my most recent stuff that I've been working on, has just strictly been in the Minneapolis area.
Mm-hmm.
With that, like, there hasn't really been that much of a difference. I heard through the grapevine that, like, Video Arts, for example, is they're implementing some pretty strict rules.
Yep.
And I didn't go back to Video Arts just mainly because it wasn't exactly what I was looking for with this new stuff. I kind of wanted to test the waters of
Sure.
trying other places out and stuff like that.
Yeah. Do you feel like that helped you kind of like make this album a lot more unique? Like kind of going to a different place and different producer and all of that stuff? Like did it help evolve your sound at all with that?
It gave it a little more sense of home because the producer that I record vocals with now actually, like, we've worked together on my instrumentals and stuff, and he brings the craziness that I hear in my head to life.
Cool.
As far as like what I did with Daybreak, I would do the instrumentals with one guy, and then I would go to the Video Arts here to do like the vocals and stuff like that. Sure. And it was a great experience. Yep. My producer's name was John. He's
I know John.
He's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
And although it was a great experience, there was a little bit of like a split. It didn't feel as cohesively connected because it came from like two different studios.
Sure.
So if I wanted to do one thing or another, you know, I would have to jump and be kind of like the bridge between the two.
Right.
As far as like, if something like that. With the studio in the Minneapolis area, it's kind of straight from the horse's mouth sort of thing. It's kind of home because that's where it came from.
Yeah. So did you with the twin? I guess going to the Twin Cities to record this recent album, how did you travel like from Fargo every time you recorded, or were there periods of time where you'd be staying in the Twin Cities in between times?
No, it was pretty much just a flying trip there, flying trip back.
Okay. Did that did that add up after a while? Like how did you kind of manage that?
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah. I was gonna say that must have been quite the. I mean, I know a professor of mine. He traveled from the Twin Cities to do like teaching every single day of the week, and it was like a 5-hour drive there and back every day. And I was like, how do you do that? So I imagine with recording, like with paying for studio costs, that's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, good gas mileage helps.
Yeah. So did you? And you drove, and you didn't like use any like rental services or either. Like did you just use your own car the whole time too?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
I would kind of like tag along my kind of PR representative, and because she never had the studio experience before.
Sure.
So like we would take her car too, and yeah.
Cool. So was it kind of like what I was going to ask was, did you go like straight there and back then every day after you recorded, or were you like staying in the cities for a bit and then you'd kind of take off and
It was pretty much straight there, straight back, just
okay.
business trip. I would like to have kind of explored the cities a little more. I've been
Yeah.
there, I mean, multiple times, but just to kind of see everything again and kind of take on the sights and all that stuff. But with the pandemic, everything was kind of closed anyway, so
Yeah.
we're
So
more
I guess
difficult to get to.
yeah, was it did you from what you did observe about the cities, were there a lot of places when you went there, was there a lot of places like uh open, or did you notice any changes with like social distancing? I know the cities were a little bit stricter than Fargo as far as
Mhm.
social distancing guidelines. So did that, I mean, you were pretty focused on your album, but did that impact you at all with like if you did go get food or get anything, like was it more closed off than Fargo, or did you not really notice?
With Minnesota, they are more stricter. Like you have to wear a mask in every single place you go to. You have to
Right.
practice social distancing and like that sort of stuff. So I mean, other than kind of the obvious like limitations, like 6 feet, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much the same, just a different kind of formula, I guess.
Hmm. I guess getting into albums and like your new album, how long have you been working on your current album? And then what was that process like for you from start to finish? Like when did you start like thinking, okay, like I'm gonna start working on this, and versus like, because is it finished up now, like ready to go?
What I'm doing is the tentative plan, at least, like it could change, but I'm going to release a song every month
Okay.
for until about December,
Cool.
and then call that kind of like an EP sort of deal, and then I'm working on the latter half of the album, and then maybe around February, March, April-ish,
Yeah.
drop the last half just all in one chunk and then call the whole kind of thing like the album,
Okay.
which is kind of an unorthodox way of doing it. But since I'm a newer artist
Hmm.
and because I am who I am, I do what I want.
Yeah.
So
So have you when did you kind of start, like, I know like when you what time did you so when did you wrap Daybreak? Like when was that album like released again? Just to kind of refresh my memory about that.
it was released on October 24th of last year.
Okay. And so I
Um,
guess as far as that goes, like when you after how soon after you released Daybreak did that process begin of like, I want to start writing for my next album? Were you always writing for this next one, or was there a plan to be like, okay, now that's done, now I move on to this one?
yeah, I never really stopped writing. I had a couple songs left over that didn't make the Daybreak album. Um, and yeah, pretty much after I released Daybreak, I was like, "Whoo, I can relax now a little bit." And then I looked at kind of um, my music and stuff like that, and I was just like, I don't know what I would do. I'm getting kind of that itch of like writing again. And then yeah, I kind of like looked at my music and I was like, wow, I have like almost half an album done.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I can start work on, the other half. And
Yeah.
yeah, long story short, I haven't stopped writing.
Yeah.
And I constantly have that creative itch to like keep doing more stuff. So
Hmm. So have you like, as far as I know you mentioned there was some songs that you had left over. Was there ever a moment where you were like, I don't know if this song fits with this album, or do you not? Or, I know some artists are like, like this doesn't really fit the vibe that I'm going for, like for this album. But like, were there any? Or did they all kind of flow pretty well into the next album, or were there some that you're like, I'm still gonna save this for maybe a different one?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that I feel fit kind of what I felt in my head was the next step.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple that were completely just bonkers and just wouldn't fit that I'll probably save for something else, or maybe I'll randomly drop a song and be like, hey, this isn't a part of anything, but here you go,
Yeah.
But yeah, I always like to have options, so.
Mm-hmm. What are you kind of using these days with to like either like mainly to keep your lyrics and to keep ideas down? Like, are you a notebook guy, or are you like, do you write it on your phone? Kind of what do you like to use?
I do use my cell phone whenever I'm just like out and about, but I'm the type of person I need to write down my lyrics. I need to see it on paper, and even whenever I have like a full song like on my phone or on my laptop or something like that, most of the time I end up writing it out anyway, even if I don't need it. But it's good to have kind of a hard copy and kind of feel the paper under the pen sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it that much like real to me, I guess.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of songs kind of in your notebook currently, or do you?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Do you?
I have like probably at least 10 notebooks throughout like the whole time I've been doing this.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever go back to like? Do you ever go back to? Do you go back to ideas a lot, or do you tend to like kind of like stockpile them and look at them when you're stuck? How does that kind of work?
Yeah, I mean, if I kind of like if I'm struggling, I'll like look back on a couple older like notebooks, and I might have like a nugget of an idea or inspiration or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's nice to look back at that stuff too.
Mm-hmm. I guess as far as, are the songs pretty much like, are they still kind of in progress, or are they all finished up now and you're just waiting on to release each one?
The first half of the album is finished. There's maybe one or two more that I have to write still, but I'm not too worried about it. Because I know what they're essentially gonna be. So I feel like it'll be easy to just jump in and finish it whenever I need to.
Mm-hmm. Has this, as far as the process with writing the album, have you, I guess, have you changed up anything, either like with how you approach the writing process, or have you, like, has the process been different from Daybreak for you in terms of how you approach your songwriting, or has it been kind of more or less the same?
It's pretty much been the same. My writing process is, I don't know, I think maybe it's a little weird, but most of the time I just sit down. If I have an idea for a song, I'll write down kind of like things that inspire the song that I'm working on, or maybe song lyrics from something else, or ideas that I saw in like everyday life sort of thing. And then one by one, I kind of like pick out like little bits and pieces and start writing random stuff. Just like it feels like it's kind of like picking ideas out from the universe, and then all of a sudden it's like one minute I have so many different puzzle pieces of ideas, inspirations, all that stuff, and then I look down and I have a full song, and it's like, oh crap, like
Yeah.
I wrote that, you know, like it was, and
Mhm.
it's kind of funny because, like looking back with say like Daybreak
Yeah.
and like a couple of the songs, like I don't feel like I remember writing them at all
Okay.
because it's just like all of a sudden it just was, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, okay, you know.